Hello everyone, welcome back to one more video session. In this session, I'll be speaking about oogenesis. In the previous session, we have discussed about spermatogenesis and also we discussed about the structure of the sperm. Unlike spermatogenesis, oogenesis is bit complex. Okay, in spermatogenesis, we have studied about the 4 phases, correct? Okay, so whereas in oogenesis, you could see 3 phases. That is multiplication phase, growth phase and maturation phase. Looks simple but it's complicated. Because in spermatogenesis normally one germinal cell actually undergoes some multiplication, then actually undergoes meiosis producing secondary spermatocyte, and the secondary spermatocytes completes the second meiosis and produces more number of sperm, that is 4 sperms actually produced. Okay, so the process, that is the one spermatogenesis process, takes about 64 days. In other words, we can say that formation of sperm from one germinal cell takes 64 days. Remember it. Okay, so this is actually a stage. The spermatogenesis normally takes 64 days for the formation of sperms, okay, from a single germinal cell. Whereas in the case of oogenesis, the oogenesis is initiated before the birth of the female baby. So this is very interesting. But in the case of spermatogenesis, is initiated only when the male attains his puberty. Okay, so oogenesis is initiated during embryonic development of the female baby, and the interesting thing is the oogenesis get completed only when fertilization of that egg occurs. Okay, so that is actually very complicated. Okay, so here we have to study. The first thing is actually, let us see the structure of the ovary. Okay, so I have already told you when I discussed about the FRS, ovaries are the primary sex organ. Okay, so this is actually the structure of the ovary, and see. Okay, so here you could see this is the outermost layer of the ovary, and you know what do you call that outermost layer of the ovary, which is whitish in color, that is thin epithelium, correct? Okay, so within this the lining, you see a big cavity. Okay, this is the structure is actually called as the stroma. Stroma is the inside of the ovary. If you look into the stroma is again divided into 2 compartments or 2 layers. One layer is almost situated to the thin epithelium, that is actually the closest to the thin epithelium, like this. Okay, so this is the outermost layer of the stroma and we call it as peripheral cortex. Okay, so peripheral cortex is the site where the ovulation or like the entire oogenesis process takes place, whereas the center part of the ovary or stroma is called as the inner medulla. Okay, so this is the basic thing to remember. Okay, so as I said, like the oogenesis process is initiated before birth. Okay, that means we have to see how exactly it is initiated. Okay, so basically like spermatogenesis, there are some mother cells will be there. Okay, some germinal mother cells will be there. Where exactly you see the germinal mother cells? See, I have used white color here. See, you could see many tiny cells. See, I am talking about oogenesis that is initiated before the birth. So you have to imagine this is actually occurring before the birth of the female baby. Okay, not after the birth, before the birth. Okay, you could see that to the peripheral cortex, you could see many cells, around thousands of cells are actually attached. Okay, so these are actually the germinal epithelial cells. These germinal epithelial cells, because of the mitosis, produces so many cells and we call them as, now see here you could see some big white cells from the same small cells. Okay, so we call it as oogonium. Okay, oogonium is singular, that is actually if I talk about only one cell, then it is called as oogonium. If I talk about many oogonium cells, then we should call it as oogonia. It's plural. Okay, many. Okay, this is single, this is many. Okay, so here actually what happens. So see, for example, let us take this one cell actually. So this is called as oogonium. This oogonium now undergoes a multiplication phase. This is the first phase of the oogenesis. As a result, thousands of cells are produced. The same cells are produced actually, that is actually oogonia. So several thousands of oogonium undergoes multiplication and produces several, around like let us say millions of oogonia cells are produced within this ovary before the birth. Okay, so that is one thing. For example, if I can draw here, this is one oogonium cell which undergoes mitosis. I'll write mitosis and produces so many oogonia cells. If I talk about one oogonia, then it is called as oogonium. That's it, nothing else. Okay, so it is actually preparatory phase, like preparation is going on. Okay, so once several oogonium cells are produced, and you see here what happens. I'm just going to write here. I use the white color. I'm taking one oogonium cell. Now it undergoes the first meiosis. See, this is actually a very interesting point. Spermatogenesis, meiosis takes place during puberty, correct? Whereas in here, the meiosis takes place before the birth of that female baby. Okay, so one oogonium cell undergoes meiosis. Okay, meiosis, that is reduction and division, that is meiosis first. There are two meiosis, you know that meiosis 1, meiosis 2. It undergoes meiosis 1 and get arrested at first prophase. Please remember, you will get this question. Get arrested at first prophase. You know that in prophase there are again 5 stages are there. Okay, so in that 5 stages, particularly it get arrested in diplotin stage. I'm giving extra information. It is not required, but remember it. Okay, meiosis 1, first prophase, particularly exactly where? In diplotin stage, this oogonium cell get arrested. Okay, so this arrested stage of the cell should be called as, okay, so this is actually the another oogonium, the same oogonium cell which get arrested in diplotin stage, and this should be called as the primary oocyte. Got it now? The primary oocytes are produced from single oogonia or oogonium cell, because when it gets arrested in first meiosis, that is particularly first prophase of diplotin, then we call that structure, the same cell, as primary oocyte. So that is actually the thing. So I have written here. Okay, that is actually the primary oocyte, and here I'll write first prophase, particularly where? In prophase diplotin stage. Okay, it gets arrested. In the picture you could see that, see. Okay, so now this is actually the primary oocyte. Okay, this is the primary oocyte. Okay, from the oogonia cells. Now this same primary oocyte now undergoes certain transformational changes. Same before the birth, and as a result, I will write here. I think better here. So this is actually, let us say, this is primary oocyte arrested in first prophase. Now you could see a certain like changes. That means actually this primary oocyte is now surrounded by a thin layer of granulosa cells. What cells? Granulosa cells. I'll write here. The name of the cell is called as granulosa cells. Okay, these granulosa cells actually starts to form a thin layer around primary oocyte, each primary oocyte. Okay, so each primary oocyte is now surrounded by the granulosa cell, and this structure, that is primary oocyte plus the layer of granulosa cell, is called as primordial follicle. What you call? Which is called as primordial follicle. Right here, primordial follicle. Remember, so that means out of several thousands of oogonia cells, so millions of primary oocytes are produced because of like primary like mitosis and all these things. You could see lots and lots of primary oocytes, that is millions of oocytes. Let us say, if I give you the specific number, before the birth 5 million primary oocytes are there within the ovary. 5 million primary oocytes are there within the ovary. Though this is the thing to remember. Each 5 million primary oocytes are surrounded by thin layer of granulosa cells. So now imagine how many primordial follicles are there. That is actually the thing. But 5 million primordial follicles are there now. Okay. So this is the thing to remember. So I have used, see, this is actually now the primordial follicle. See, this one. Okay, better actually, I'll separate it. Okay, this one is actually, I have taken one primary oocyte and one primary follicle. That is the transformational change. That means actually each granulosa cell is surrounding the primary oocyte. Okay, so this is the thing to remember. Okay, so this is the thing. Now let us imagine the birth has happened, the female birth has happened. That means the multiplication phase is nothing but, occurs before the birth. So this everything occurs before the birth. Remember, before the birth, before the birth. Now actually after the birth, the growth phase occurs. It is the one of the longest phase in oogenesis. It is the longest phase. Okay, so longest means it takes about several years. Now what we have? We have primordial follicles are there surrounding primary oocyte. Now let us talk about only, okay, I said like 5 millions. Okay, at the time of the birth, what happened actually? Out of 5 million primordial follicles, they degenerate and reduce to around 3 million. So at the time of the birth, how many primordial follicles will be there? Around 3 million at the time of the birth. So that means it is not necessary actually. 5 million is too many, it's too much. Okay, so now it undergoes growth phase. Growth phase is the longest phase. That is from birth till puberty. So we don't know like when exactly a specific female undergoes her first puberty. We don't know. It depends. It varies from female to female. So let us just imagine from birth till puberty, whatever the stages that occur, which is called as the growth phase. Now what we have primordial follicle surrounding primary oocyte. Okay. So now the primary oocyte slightly undergoes certain changes. Okay. I'm just using here. Okay. So I'm talking about this one. This is after birth. After birth. Okay. So this stage. From here to here is actually the growth phase. From here to here, that is actually nothing but the maturation phase. Okay, so here this one. Okay, again I'll put this. Okay, so this is actually the thing to understand. The growth phase occurs. So during the growth phase, the primordial follicle now undergoes certain changes. Actually, what happens actually? You see, the primordial follicle surrounded by, that is made up of granulosa cell, actually starts to divide by mitosis process, and the layer becomes very thick. You could see the change now. The layer is bit thick. This occurs during growth phase. Okay, which surrounding the primary oocyte, and this is actually called as this thick layer surrounding the primary oocyte after birth, which is called as, that is primary follicle. What do you call? The primary follicle. You call it as primary follicle. That means primordial follicle is slightly changing to the primary follicle. That occurs only after birth. Okay. So now inside this primary follicle, what is there? You know that there is only primary oocyte is there arrested at first prophase of meiosis 1, particularly in diplotin stage. That is fine. Okay, still there. Nothing will happen to it. Nothing will happen to it in growth phase. No cell division occurs in the growth phase. It will remain as it is. As it is in the sense, only primary oocytes will be there. Only what you see is, here within this one primary oocyte, what happened actually? If I draw here, so this is the oocyte, forget about the red color layer, that is follicle, granulosa cells. What happened actually? You see the nucleus is there here. Here inside the nucleus, what is there? Nucleoplasm is there. That actually thoda grows. As a result, you could see nucleus becomes thoda big. Okay, because of the nucleolus growth. And now you know that the several mitochondria will be there. Again, it undergoes division, producing so many mitochondria. You know that mitochondria is very, very important for this future. Okay, and then actually the endoplasmic reticulum also becomes bit complex actually, and the Golgi apparatus also increases in number. So these are all the changes occurs during the growth phase. What is interesting is, see, the vitellogenesis occurs. What is this vitellogenesis? Okay, now this is actually the primary oocyte which is in the growth phase, that is birth till puberty. Okay, it could occur at any stage. Okay, so now what happens actually? So the nucleus starts to migrate towards one end. Okay, I think I better use right here. Okay, so again, the nucleus starts to migrate towards one end of the cell, primary oocyte. This is primary oocyte. Okay, and then actually you could see the cytoplasm is here. And also in the growth phase, the cytoplasm quantity also increases, volume increases. Okay, so as a result, it becomes thoda big in size. Okay, so nucleus moves to this side. This side of the primary oocyte is called as the animal pole. Animal pole. And the side where cytoplasm is bit more, that is called as the vegetal pole. Hope it is visible to you. Vegetal pole, animal pole, and vegetal pole. Okay, so now you could see here in the animal pole, actually what happened actually, you see a small layer actually formed. Obviously we know that this white line is nothing but the plasma membrane of the any prime cell. That is actually the plasma membrane of the primary oocyte, this white line. This white line actually transforms itself and form another layer. I think I use blue color. Another layer actually, which is actually almost attached to the plasma membrane. Okay, now we cannot call it as plasma membrane. We should call it as vitelline membrane. Okay, this membrane is produced by the plasma membrane of the primary oocyte. In the growth phase, we call it as vitelline membrane. Vitelline membrane. Okay, so the formation of the vitelline membrane in the growth phase is called as the vitellogenesis. Okay, vitellogenesis. So during the vitellogenesis, the cytoplasm is now transforming itself into a nutritive liquid. We call it as yolk. So now this cytoplasm becomes a bit nutritive. Where exactly? If you take the entire cytoplasm, here where the nucleus is there, this particular side, actually the cytoplasm is transforming itself into yolk. So you may get a question, where exactly the yolk formation takes place in the primary oocyte, that is towards the animal pole. What is there? Why we call it as animal pole? Because when the nucleus is situated to one side of the cell, then we call that as animal pole. If a nucleus is not there in the other side, then we call it as vegetal pole. Okay, so where the nucleus is there, you could see yolk formation takes place. Yolk in the sense, only the cytoplasm transforms itself into what we call nutritive fluid for future actually. So this yolk will be formed actually. But the yolk formation from the cytoplasm is very, very less. Hence we call it as human egg is, right here, alecital. Alecital means very less number, less quantity of yolk. Human egg is alecital, or it is also called as microlecital, but precisely we call it as alecital. Just remember it. Okay, you may get a question like human egg is alecital. That's it. Okay, fine. Because actually yolk formation is very less. Okay. So so during the follicular growth, you know that I have written that the what we call the primordial follicle now transforms into primary follicle, because actually you have already seen here, this is actually the thing occurs during the growth phase. The primordial follicles are, formation took place before the birth. Okay, after the birth, the same primordial follicle transforms itself into primary follicle. Okay, so but still this cell is arrested in first meiosis. It is arrested. It stopped actually. It's a kind of dormant cell now. But still you could see the transformational changes which is occurring in the primary oocyte. That is the one thing to remember. Now, once actually the vitelline membrane formation takes place, again you see one more layer here. One more layer actually formation takes place around the vitelline membrane. So this layer around the vitelline membrane is actually called as the zona pellucida. One thing to remember, in the growth phase, vitelline membrane formation completes. Vitelline membrane formation completes. Got it? In the growth phase. But in the same growth phase, the initiation of the formation of the another layer name is zona pellucida. What we call zona pellucida. Just remember it. Hope this is visible. Zona pellucida formation is initiated. Okay, got it? So here please remember, vitelline membrane formation already completed in the growth phase, but in the same growth phase another layer formation takes place, initiated. So these are the two things to remember. That's all about the growth phase. Okay, so here you could see that in this picture actually you could see that during the growth phase these cells are now called as primary follicles enclosing the primary oocyte, and here you could see all the transformation changes. Okay, so this is now the multiplication phase before the birth. This is now growth phase after the birth till puberty. Now from here onwards, whatever you see is that is when the female attains her first menstrual cycle in the life. The first menstrual cycle in the female is called as the menarche, and the last menstrual cycle in the female is called as the menopause. Okay, so that is the thing to remember. Now there are, I said like around as I said like 3 millions of primordial follicles are there at the time of birth, but when the female attains her first puberty, out of 3 million primordial cells, it is reduced to only 300 to 400 primary follicles. Got it? So out of 3 million, that is during the growth phase, when she attains her first puberty, so what happened actually, the 3 million primordial cells will be reduced to only 300 to 400 primary follicles. This is very, very important. What happened to millions of the primordial follicle? They degenerate. So there is no point in having them in the ovary, because if they are in huge number, obviously it's not possible for to select everyone, correct, everything. So it is not possible. As a result, only 300 to 400 primary follicles will be there. So during this, so that means you have to imagine here 300 to 400 primary follicles will be there. Okay, so after birth till puberty. Okay, so that means it reduces in number. Now, out of 300 to 400 primary follicle enclosing primary oocyte, now one will be selected. Only one will be selected. Okay, so I have out of 2, I have taken 1. That means you have to imagine out of 300 to 400 primary follicle, only one is selected for one ovulation process, okay, or one menstrual cycle. So this is very important. Okay, only one will be removed. or released from the ovary. One ovum will be released from the ovary in one ovulation process. Okay, that is per month only one will be released out. Okay, this is the thing to remember. So from here onwards, this is actually called as the maturation phase. Maturation phase occurs when the female attains the puberty. Puberty, that means when she attains her first menstrual cycle or first ovulation process. Okay, the maturation phase. In the maturation phase, the same primary oocyte or transformed oocyte, which is already having two layers. One is actually the vitelline membrane, other one is actually forming zona pellucida layer will be there. Okay. Now, within this, what you see is the completion of the meiosis. Okay, so let us take, this is actually the primary follicle. Now I have selected one primary follicle. Now it undergoes certain changes, which is called as when she attains secondary follicle, when she attains her first ovulation process. Okay, this primary follicle transforms into secondary follicle. Okay, it takes around 2 days. 2 days. Okay, so from here to here, it takes around 14 days. 14 days, you know that. Actually, from the menstruation occurs, from that day onwards, we have to count that, we have to take the days till 14th day. What happened actually, from the till the 14th day, the follicular growth occurs, and finally on the 14th day ovulation occurs. So this is the thing to understand. Okay, here actually the secondary follicle formation takes place. What is secondary follicle? Again, a thick layer of granulosa cells takes place. Okay, so that is called as secondary follicle. But still, what is there? Primary oocyte is there. Again, this changes to the tertiary follicle. Again, the more number of granulosa cells formation takes place, it becomes very thick and becomes tertiary follicle. What is the specialty of tertiary follicle? The tertiary follicle, you could see a gap between this follicle, that is tertiary follicle, and the primary oocyte. This is the primary oocyte. You could see a gap. This gap is filled with liquid. That means tertiary follicle is filled with liquid, and the liquid is called as antrum. So this is the specialty of the tertiary follicle. Okay, the tertiary follicle now transforms into another structure, that is another thick layer of granulosa cells takes place around the primary oocyte, and this is called as the Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle, I have written here somewhere else. Yeah, Graafian follicle. Okay, so Graafian follicle formation takes place. Now the Graafian follicle has two layers. The outermost granulosa cell layer is called as the theca externa. I think I write here, I think it is visible to you. What do you call? Theca externa, and the inner layer, this one is called as the theca interna. Theca interna. Remember it. Theca externa, theca interna is the layer actually. Okay, still antrum is there, and you could see now the primary oocyte is completing its first meiosis because it is already arrested. Okay, maybe on the 13th or 12th or 13th day, it completes its first meiosis. Okay, the tertiary follicle enclosing the primary oocyte completes its first meiosis. Okay, that is metaphase 1. Then actually anaphase 1, telophase 1 is completed, and as a result, within the Graafian follicle, 2 cells will be produced. Okay, so I think the tertiary follicle now contains 2 cells. I will draw one more cell here. Okay, this primary oocyte now transforms into secondary oocyte, and one more cell is produced, because obviously you know that if one cell is, if this cell undergoes meiosis 1, completes its meiosis 1, obviously 2 cells will be produced. This cell division is unequal, producing 2 unequal sized cells. One is a big cell. The big cell is called as secondary oocyte. You could see this is secondary oocyte. A small cell will be produced, okay, towards the vegetative pole here, vegetal pole actually. Okay, so that is actually called as polar body. Got it? So we call it as first polar body. That means one primary oocyte completes its meiosis 1, producing 2 cells, 2 unequal cells. One small cell is called as the first polar body. The other big cell is called as secondary oocyte. Both the cells are now present within the Graafian follicle. And now on the exactly 14th day, the same Graafian follicle ruptures because of the hormonal activity, particularly the hormone is LH. Luteinizing hormone, which actually acts on the Graafian follicle and makes it to rupture, and as a result, from the ruptured Graafian follicle, what you see is only one cell will be released. What is that cell? Secondary oocyte. Okay, secondary oocyte will be released. One here, I just want to tell you one thing. What is important here is thought a bit confusing. Please remember this. The secondary oocyte from the Graafian follicle, let us say this is the 13th day. Okay, formation of the Graafian follicle. On the 14th day, rupturing of the Graafian follicle takes place, releasing secondary oocyte. So during this phase, what happened? The secondary oocyte undergoes meiosis 2 here. Here, so each that secondary oocyte now undergoes meiosis 2. Meiosis 2. Okay, but again it get arrested in metaphase 2. Very, very important. So you may get a question. The secondary oocyte which is released from the ruptured Graafian follicle is arrested at second meiosis, particularly second metaphase. Second metaphase. Okay, so this is actually called as secondary oocyte. But your NCERT textbook, they have given it as O. We cannot call it as OOM because OOM should, the term is used only when secondary oocyte is get fertilized by the sperm. Okay, so because the secondary oocyte did not complete its second meiosis because it is arrested in metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. This is very important thing. So what is the fate of the first polar body? It also completes or initiates its meiosis 2 and it completes its meiosis completely, but except secondary oocyte did not complete, whereas the polar body completes its meiosis. Okay, and as a result another polar body will be produced. How many? Two polar body will be produced because these two are cells, right? Two polar body. So we call it as this is the second polar body and this is the third polar body. Okay, and they degenerate. There is no function, so they degenerate. Don't worry about it. Okay, we have to consider only secondary oocyte. So that phase is called as the maturation phase. Here I have written the primary oocyte completes first meiosis and form secondary oocyte and first polar body. The first polar body now within the Graafian follicle completes its meiosis 2 and produces two more cells. We call it as second polar body and third polar body. They degenerate. There is no work. They degenerate. This secondary oocyte now undergoes meiosis 2. It attains meiosis 2 and get arrested in metaphase 2. Okay, so that is the thing. Here at the same time, you know that the tertiary follicle transforms into Graafian follicle and then into rupturing of the Graafian follicle takes place. Okay, this is actually exactly on the 14th day. The process is called as ovulation, the process of release of the haploid ovum, but it is not exactly ovum, it is actually the secondary oocyte arrested in metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. Okay, fine. Okay, so that is called as oogenesis. Okay, now what is the fate of this ruptured Graafian follicle? The ruptured Graafian follicle attains another stage which is actually called as carpus luteum. Okay, so carpus luteum. Okay, this is actually the stage because it is degenerating Graafian follicle. We call it as carpus luteum, but it has got a significant role which produces one hormone called as progesterone. Progesterone, which is very, very important for the maintenance of the endometrial wall. We'll talk about it when I explain about the menstrual cycle, about the carpus luteum. Okay, the same carpus luteum actually undergoes another degenerating stage which is called as carpus albicans. Shall I write here? Carpus albicans. You may get a question. Name the scar which is produced from the carpus luteum. That is actually called as the carpus albicans. The meaning of carpus albican is scar. It looks like a scar. Scar. Okay. So that is all about the oogenesis. Hope you understood this concept. Please remember. Okay. So this secondary oocyte is now surrounded by one is vitelline membrane. Okay. Another one is another layer which is called as the zona pellucida will be there. At that time, I want to tell you one more thing. I have used red color. I don't have red color chalk piece now. Okay, I'm going to use white color now. Okay, so when the Graafian follicle ruptures, some cells of this one, what you call this one, granulosa cells also comes out, and also they form the third layer around the secondary oocyte. Okay, I know that this concept is a bit complicated and very lengthy, but you have to listen to me carefully because this is very important for your examination. Okay. Even for the board examination, no need to write everything whatever I have explained. This is explained only for NEET examination. For board examination, very simple, just watch the video. At the same time, actually you just go through with the notes which is given to you. That's it. So it will make you easy to understand the concept, and you know how to write or how much you have to write for the examination. So that will be easy for you. Okay. So here I have written the flowchart of the oogenesis, and here I have drawn the diagram of the ovum. Okay. So this is the mature ovum right now. Okay. So here you could see that I told you that three phases: multiplication, growth, and this one is the maturation phase. See here, I have already told you the oogonium cells actually form into primary oocyte, that is because of the multiplication phase. The primary oocyte now undergoes meiosis 1, that is arrested in prophase 1, particularly in diplotin stage, that is the growth phase. And here you could see lot of changes, as I said, like initiation of the zona pellucida takes place, completion of the vitelline membrane takes place. Okay, and at the same time the nucleolus quantity also increases and the nucleus becomes big, cytoplasm quantity increases, okay, mitochondria level increases, Golgi complex increases, okay, and here this is actually the animal pole and this is the vegetal pole. Towards the animal pole the nucleus actually migrates, okay. So you may get a question, where exactly the first meiosis, the first polar body and secondary oocyte is produced, that is actually towards the animal pole because the nucleus is here. Okay, so karyokinesis takes place towards the animal pole. Okay, so chalo. So this is the growth phase. It is one of the longest phase actually. When from here onwards, the maturation phase is actually normally takes around 14 days. That is actually during the ovulation period actually, when the female attains her first menstrual cycle. That is the first 14 days ovulation takes place. The next 14 days actually preparation for the pregnancy takes place. If the ovum will not get fertilized, then actually the everything will be discharged to the vaginal opening actually. So that is the thing to understand. Anyhow, we will talk about it in the menstrual cycle. You will understand it clearly. Okay, so here actually in the maturation phase, the primary oocyte, which is arrested in the first meiosis, actually produces two cells within the primary oocyte, okay, cell itself, that is actually the first polar body and secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte now actually enters the meiosis 2, arrested at metaphase 2, correct. Okay, that is the thing. Before it is discharged or before it is released from the ruptured Graafian follicle, that secondary oocyte is arrested in meiosis 2, metaphase 2 actually. That is the thing to understand. The first polar body may undergo second meiosis and produce a second and third polar body. Otherwise, sometimes only one polar body will be produced. That is, first polar body produces another polar body, that is second polar body. Okay. Now the secondary oocyte, after the ovulation process, it is actually traveling, collected by the fimbria and traveling inside the fallopian tube. It travels, and in the fallopian tube, what happened? If the sperms comes into contact, then only metaphase 2 will be initiated to anaphase 2 and then telophase 2. Otherwise, no. That means actually, if fertilization doesn't take place, the eggs will be discharged during menstruation, then it should be secondary oocyte itself. Got it? If it is fertilized, then only we call it as ovum, because actually ovum means it is completed. It's meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 completed, the both meiosis. Okay, so this is the one thing to remember. Okay, so that means majority of the cases unfertilization takes place, and as a result the discharge of the secondary oocyte, which is arrested in metaphase 2, actually takes place. Okay, if fertilization takes place, that is, the completion of the meiosis 2 takes place only when one sperm enters into this particular secondary oocyte, and then only we call it as ovum. That means for the completion of the meiosis 2, sperm involvement is very, very important. Okay, this is the one thing to remember. Okay, at the same time, secondary oocyte, when it undergoes meiosis 2, produces another polar body actually, which is also degenerates. So that means only one ovum is produced ultimately. Okay, you may get a question, how many polar bodies are produced? Polar body, which is actually waste bodies. Okay, so around like 2 to 3 polar bodies will be produced, okay, during oogenesis process. That's one thing to remember in option. Please go with 2 to 3. Okay, so that is all about the flow chart. This flow chart I have drawn according to my knowledge, but even there are so many things to be written actually, so that you have to refer the notes which is given by me. I have given a very good flow chart for this oogenesis. Just stick to it. This is only for understanding. This is the diagram of the complete ovum. Let us imagine this is actually the ovum. Still it is waiting for the sperm to enter. Okay, it has 3 layers. The one is already I told you that the near to the plasma membrane, vitelline membrane is there, and then actually the zona pellucida will be there. This is zona pellucida, and another layer is, I have used red color. See, I have used the same red color for the follicular, okay, layering, correct. Okay, so the same for granulosa cells actually comes along with, some granulosa cells will comes along with this one, what you call secondary oocyte, during ovulation process, and they actually form the third layer. It is required for the protection actually. Got it? What is the function of all these layers? Okay, there are 3 layers in the ovum. The function is actually, it prevents entry of polysperms. That is actually it will prevent the entry of many sperms. It will allow only one sperm to enter actually. That is the main function of these three layers. Okay, so the outermost layer is actually called as the corona radiata. What is corona radiata? Corona radiata is cellular because it is made up of zona or sorry, this one, what you call granulosa cells. Okay, corona radiata. Whereas you may get a question out of three layers which is non-cellular. Zona pellucida is non-cellular, which is not made up of cells. Whereas the perivitelline membrane is actually cellular because it is made up of plasma membrane. Okay, then actually you could see a gap between this vitelline membrane and zona pellucida. This gap is called as perivitelline space actually. Okay, so this nucleus contains only 23 chromosomes. Particularly, what kind of allosomes are present within this nucleus? Anybody? That is X, only X chromosome, correct? So that is actually the thing to remember. So male, that is sperm, actually play a vital role in the sex determination. That is, it decides whether the baby should be male or female because the sperm either contain X chromosome or Y chromosome. So that's all about the structure of the ovum. Please remember all these things. Okay, done.